Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining another First Fridays with SUS Urban Farms. If you haven't watched a First Fridays broadcast before, welcome. This monthly live stream is our way of highlighting and celebrating the work of our team at our community farm and garden spaces throughout the city. As a live broadcast, if you are signed into YouTube, please feel free to interact with us by commenting in the live chat feature at any point during the program. In fact, during our pre-show, you may have seen a quick comment come in from Will and Maria. So hello back to Will and Maria. First Fridays is a new tradition for Urban Farms. And over our first few episodes, we've begun by expressing our gratitude to our urban farmers with a segment that spotlights one of their stories. This month, we have an exciting urban farmer spotlight in that we're highlighting two urban farmers that have participated in much of their journey with urban farms together. So for this month, we are celebrating Louis Montas and Rauly Estevez-Pina. Thank you, Rowley and Lewis, for all of your work with Urban Farms. And thank you, Maria. Yes, I've got the lobster shirt on for August. Earlier this week, I was actually up in the Bronx working in one of our gardens alongside Rowley and some of our other urban farmers. And while there, Rowley gave a tour of their amazing growing space that I'd love to share for our next segment, In the Garden.
Rauly, y trabajo para Farms. Esto es Avenue en el Bronx. Aquí tenemos una caja con flores bonitas por acá. Aquí tenemos allá tenemos los tomeros. Acá tenemos pera. Purple. Aquí tenemos purple. Aquí tenemos extra. En la próxima caja tenemos cherry tomatoes. Aquí tenemos cherry tomatoes. Acá Acá tenemos tomate regular. Aquí tenemos pera. Aquí tenemos squash. Acá tenemos basil. Basil es bueno para cocinar. Acá tenemos apple. Acá tenemos mentas. Y puede ver a una gran variedad de todos. Gracias. Gracias.
So Third Avenue is a beautiful community farm with a wide variety of spaces, and you got to see that wonderful backyard. But I'm also joined live by urban farmer Carol Johnson from the rooftop terrace at Third Avenue. And this rooftop has been a special project of Carol's this season, so I'm excited for her to give us a walkthrough. So hello, Carol, and take it away.
Hello, Mike. How are you? I am so glad to have you guys join me today on this rooftop terrace. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, this is something that Michael, myself, and a good friend of mine planted about 5 weeks ago. And as you can see, this is what's happening up here over the last 4 to 5 weeks. So we have fresh kales, we have okra, tomatoes, we have carrots, beets, more tomato, and I'm especially proud to show off we are actually growing watermelon up here.
That is amazing. Yeah, if you can zoom in on some of those watermelons. When I saw them earlier in the week, yep, we've got ones on a rooftop in the Bronx, and they are getting to a good size for this point in the season too. So yeah, that was some very impressive green thumb work from on your part.
Well, this is it's continuous sunlight up here, as you can see, and we had to plant things that would do well in sunlight. So we have different variety of peppers. Peppers growing here, peppers popping up here. Along with that, we have a tremendous amount of vegetation that's starting to grow here. For example, here is some of our squash that has started coming in. Also, we have zucchini. And along with the zucchini, we have eggplants as well. Corn. So I'm anxious to see this rooftop continue to thrive, because it's only been 5 weeks and I'm amazed at what's happening up here.
It has been really amazing, and it's also rather exciting in that something you had mentioned is that some of the creatures, like the squirrels, and I think even on occasion some raccoons, have gotten into the backyard and had a bit of a feast with some things. Rooftop kind of creates a nice space that is a little more restricted access that gives you just a lot more control over growing.
Right.
And then I know you mentioned it was also really exciting that some of the plants along the perimeter of the rooftop, you're just starting to be able to see as you're walking along the sidewalk downstairs. So that's really fun that folks are that not only do you have a rooftop growing in the Bronx, but folks are starting to be able to see that from their street view.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see the look on people's faces as this corn continues to thrive up. So it will be more so visible as you walk down the street on 3rd Avenue in the South Bronx. I'm sure a lot of people will be trying to figure out, what is that? And then again, some people will probably be amazed that we are actually have a garden here, right
Absolutely,
here, on top of this building.
Yeah.
So I hope it will influence other people to think about it. As far as rooftop gardening, I think it's just the best idea yet.
Yeah,
so I want to thank Mike for the opportunity and the idea of let's doing this, and it's doing quite well, I have to say.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much, both for your work and also taking the time to show us around up there today. It's exciting work, and it's really amazing to see what's growing on rooftops in the Bronx.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I look forward to showing some more of the production of what's going on here. I look forward to it.
Definitely, yeah. We'll have to come back a little later in the season and see, kind of get a sense of the progress as that project continues.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Saw a couple of comments come through during our walkthrough, both downstairs at 3rd Avenue, and wanted to give a shout out to Alexis and to Daniel, both who I think commented, and thank them in turn for the work they've been doing with Urban Farms and supporting Urban Farms. So Alexis has been instrumental in helping to promote First Fridays for us, and Daniel has been one of the support team for Rauly and Lewis, doing a really wonderful job in helping them to make sure that they were able to transition back to work and be able to get to the locations that we're working. So yeah, thank you both as well for all of the support you've given us. For today's final segment, we have Urban Farms Manager Dan Danza joining us for our 5-minute workshop. Welcome, Dan. So I know a question that we get pretty often is about how to water, whether it's an in-ground garden, a container garden, a garden box, or even a houseplant. And I hear you have some watering tips for us today.
I do. And these are specifically houseplant watering tips. I know that was a request that came through, I believe you said, from Jahida.
Absolutely.
And and houseplants are pretty simple, but they're kind of deceptively a little complicated sometimes. And part of the reason for that is they really come from all over the world. So the houseplants we get, they're many of them are tropical. Some of them come from places with very little rain. Some of them come from places with a lot of rain. Some of them need a lot of sun. Some of them need very little sun at all. And how often you want to water your plant is kind of dependent on what kind of plant it is and where it's placed. So I think the first place to start, the very first thing I would say is that if you're going to buy a plant, make sure you check your tag, and on that tag it should say. Can you hear me, Michael?
Yes.
Carol can hear me.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Okay, we back?
Yeah.
All right.
We're doing this live, right? Yeah.
All right. So where was I? So you want to check, the first thing you want to do if you're buying a plant is you want to check that tag. So that will give you the name of the plant, the species, as well as the light requirements, and it will give typically the water requirements as well. But there are certain principles that are generally going to apply no matter what plant you have. But you want to be careful to make sure that you're getting like good information on the light and water requirements for any plant that you're buying. If you already have a plant, that's what we can discuss. The first thing that you want to remember is always have a saucer under your house plants. Goes there. That's going to catch all of the water that drains through when you actually do the watering. And how much and how often you water, but really how often you water depends on the placement of the plant and the nature of the plant itself. So if you have a plant that is in a really high light window, it's getting a lot of light, it's getting baked by the sun, that one's probably going to dry out faster than a plant that is something like this peace lily that is a low light plant that's typically going to be placed in an area where it's not going to be getting an enormous amount of sunlight. For something like a succulent, like these succulents, and this one here, and these are really popular houseplants. Same thing with cacti. They are not going to need very much water at all. Now, if they're in a really sunny location, they might need a little bit more. But generally speaking, these are plants that grow in arid locations, which makes them pretty popular as houseplants because they're relatively low maintenance. Generally speaking, I think for the majority of houseplants, I kind of water mine usually like 1 to 3 times per week, but it's going to depend on, again, the plant. If you're in if a plant that's like a very, very sunny location, you might want to water that 2 times or 3 times a week. For one, again, like this lily, I only have to water that once per week, and I think that's pretty sufficient. For arid plants, even kind of like a middle light situation, they're not getting lots and lots of direct light. I water them maybe once every other week, and that is fine. That's definitely going to be fine for your succulents and any cactus plants you have. Generally, the easiest way to tell if the plant needs water is just do the finger test. Insert, about 1 inch of a finger into the soil. If it feels moist, you don't have to water. This feels really moist, so because I watered this one a couple days ago, so I'm not going to worry about that for a couple days. The succulents have not watered for a while, so they feel pretty dry. If the soil is dry, go ahead and water. The thing that you want to remember when you are doing the watering is when you water deeply. There's no need to, you don't want to just put like a little bit of water in at the surface. You want that water to go all the way through the root system, and you want it to drain out. You want to certainly see it drain out into the saucer at the bottom. That drainage is really important for a number of reasons. I mean, it's better for the roots that they're getting like a full soaking on a more infrequent basis. But potted plants are also a lot of salts and other nutrients will accumulate, and when you water and it drains out fully, it kind of helps to wash out some of those salts and other things that you might not necessarily want, building up in the soil of your plant, because it's not going through that regeneration that something that's growing in a natural, like in the ground in a natural location is. So just to demonstrate, just to show you what that looks like, the succulents are going to be typically, when you buy them, they're going to be in like a really very quick draining soil mix. So this will demonstrate it quite nicely. I like to go slowly, and there you go. You can see there's water in there. That's very important. Water it deeply, let it drain out. Another thing that is, I think, a smart thing to do, houseplants tend to get dusty, and dust is something that can kind of impede the aspiration of the plant, its ability to take in the gases that it needs to survive. And plants are not really used to being inside. They evolved outside where there's not such a dust problem. So a good thing to do is every week or so, just go over the leaves of the plant with maybe a little duster. Some people even like to spray them down in the shower or spray them down in with like a gentle stream in a sink. And I think that's a really important part of house plant care as well. Generally speaking, 1 to 3 times per week. For plants that tend to have that have higher water needs, you want to err toward the higher side of that. If the plant is getting a great deal of sunlight, just check with your finger to see if that soil is dry. For arid plants, every other week should be fine, unless again they're in like a really, really strong sunlight situation. Water deeply, let the water drain out, and make sure you have a stopper under your plant. I think those are the basics. And that should really do it for the vast majority of houseplants.
Excellent. I actually saw a question come through from Alexis, who said that she had some succulents at home that she had indoors in a not in direct light, and was maybe having some trouble with them. So was wondering if your succulents do best in direct light.
I think more direct is better. I actually have. Let me grab another one. So this one was in, used to be in a different location, and it was not getting direct light. And as a result, it kind of grew out toward the light like that, as you can see. What I like about putting these in direct sun is that they tend to grow up like straighter and more bushy, which is the case with most plants. They're not chasing the sun. I think it's generally best to put them in as direct a sunlight as you can. But just make sure that they're not drying out too excessively. Just because they're arid plants doesn't mean that they don't need any water at all. They just don't need it quite as much as other plants.
And a second question I saw come in was regarding tap water. Is New York City tap water okay to use for watering, or is there anything special that you need to do?
I certainly hope so. Yeah. No, I think tap water. Certainly, New York tap water is completely fine for water. We use it all the time, but again, just make sure that you're getting full drainage every time you water. Water it deeply so it drains out. So if there are any salts or any other things in the water or the soil, that more of them are washing out.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dan. I think that's really great information that I think can help all of us in strengthening our green thumbs.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So if you haven't had a chance to look through the SUS Urban Farms YouTube channel, definitely check it out for a variety of videos on cooking, gardening, horticultural tips and tricks, all from members of the Urban Farms team. And if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe for notifications whenever new videos are published. If you have ideas or requests for video topics, please feel free to reach out to me with my email now appearing on the screen. Urban Farms is also a resource for the SUS community, so please feel free to get in touch if you have questions about your garden, if you're interested in starting a new garden initiative, or building a new garden nature program, or if you have an amazing SUS garden space that you'd like to see featured in a future episode. On a final note, you may know or remember Program Coordinator Wilfredo Ila from previous 5-minute workshops and from his other YouTube videos, or even from your direct work with him in the field. He and Maria, his wife, are celebrating their 10th anniversary today. So a huge congratulations to them from Urban Farms and from the entire SUS family. Thank you all again for joining our First Friday's broadcast. We hope that you are all staying safe and well, and we're excited to see you again next month.